Today I'm super excited. I'm going to share with you a pizza recipe. Everybody loves pizza, but this is going to be different. I'm going to share with you not only a traditional recipe, but I'm also going to share with you a modified cuisine version of it that you are going to love. So if you can't have gluten in your pizza, I'm going to show you how to make it. And as a nutritionist, I really strive to make these alternative foods taste yummy. Pronto? Allora andiamo a cucinare. Ciao, my name's Lucia, and thanks for tuning into Green Olive Cooking, where you're only a few ingredients away from a great meal. And today's fabulous meal is pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? And it's only a few ingredients. So first thing we want to start out with is some hot water, and hot out of your tap should be hot enough. And then we want to add some yeast and some sugar. We need the sugar because the yeast needs something to feed on. And this is primarily, we just want to make sure that the yeast is actually alive and active, that it's not old. So it's a good thing to do this step to verify that it is still a living organism. If you know that your yeast is fresh, you don't even have to do this step. You can just go straight into mixing everything. So we're going to let this sit for a few minutes as it starts to bubble and do its thing. We want to start with some all-purpose flour. We're going to add, actually I'm going to take just a little bit out just in case I don't need it all. And then we're going to add some salt. And we just want to mix all this up. Now you can do this in a food processor, in a blender, a mixer, whatever it is that you have. I just like to do it by hand because it's super simple. The other thing we're going to add is a couple tablespoons of olive oil, and I'm just going to throw that right in here into the flour. This is going to help with the shine and the elasticity of the dough. And now I can see that my yeast is starting to bloom, so it'll be fine. I'm just going to go ahead and add all that in. And you want to make sure you scrape all the yeast in there because you want as much of it as you can get. And then at this point, you just want to mix the dough and the flour, the liquid and the flour all together to form a nice ball. And this is why I like to pull out a little bit of flour, because I don't always need all the flour, but it is a little sticky. So now at this point, I'm going to, on my bench, add some more flour, add my dough, probably add a little bit of flour on top because it is sticky. And I'm just going to work the dough just a little bit, just to incorporate a little bit more flour in there. And you're just looking for the dough to become nice and smooth. And the dough will actually take whatever flour it needs. If it doesn't need it, it won't take it. So don't worry if you don't use all your flour. Okay, it's pretty soft and pliable and it's smooth, so I'm going to say that that is good. So we're back to our bowl. No need to get a fresh, clean bowl. Just go ahead and drizzle some olive oil. I take my dough upside down, roll it around, make sure it's all coated in oil, and you just want to let it sit for about 30 to 60 minutes. We're going to cover it in some saran wrap, and I usually like to put it in a warm area so it will grow. And the best place for me is my microwave. I really don't use the microwave for much cooking, but I do like to rise my bread in there, so or my dough. So I will put it in the microwave for about 30 to 60 minutes, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to shape it. So for my dough, what I like to do is I like to work with parchment paper, and I know a lot of people like to put flour and then roll it out, but I don't like to add extra flour. I actually like to add olive oil because this does a couple of things. It helps to make the dough more crispy, and then also makes it easier for when you work out your dough. So I just put oil on the bottom of the pan, or I'm sorry, bottom of my parchment paper, and then I take my dough that has been rising, and I'll place it on the parchment paper, and I put a little bit of oil on top on my fingers, and now I start actually working my dough out into a circular motion. And by putting the oil on here, you're also adding oil all over the top of the dough as well as the sides, and so it becomes super crispy everywhere. So you just want to stretch your dough out into your circle. Always work middle out. All right, so once you've got your shape about what you would like, then you can go ahead and add your toppings. Now, this particular pizza, I'm just going to make a traditional Margherita pizza. So I'm going to add my tomato sauce, and we just want to spread it evenly all over. Because this sauce is not flavored, I am going to sprinkle a little bit of salt, as well as just a little bit of oregano. And a Margherita pizza, of course, is just tomatoes, fresh mozzarella, and some basil. So now I'm just gonna cut some slices of fresh mozzarella and just place them all over my pizza. And the basil, I'm gonna actually wait till it comes out of the oven because I don't want it to burn, because it's a fresh herb and it's sensitive to heat. So we'll wait until we take it out of the oven to add that on there. I'm also gonna drizzle some olive oil on top, and I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit more salt on top of the mozzarella slices. Now to get it into the oven, and this is why I like the parchment paper, is I'll put it on my pizza peel, and I don't have to worry about my pizza having a lot of extra flour or sometimes that cornmeal. I don't really care for the cornmeal under my pizza, so I like to do it this way. And now it's gonna go in an oven that's been preheating for about an hour at 450 degrees because they have a pizza stone in there. So it's really important for your pizza stone to be super hot, and in order for that to happen, it needs to at least preheat for about 45 minutes to an hour. We'll go ahead and put that on our pizza stone. For the gluten-free pizza, we start the same way with some hot water, some yeast, and some sugar. Then in our mixing bowl, what we want to do is we want to add a couple, 3 different types of flour. We're going to add an arrowroot flour, we're going to add cassava flour, and we're going to use a almond flour and some salt. And we just want to mix those until all incorporated. Then we want to add 1 egg. And as we can see, our yeast is active. It's starting to come up to the top, so we're just going to go ahead and add all of our yeast. And we just want to go ahead and mix this. Now this one I don't really mix in my food processor or my KitchenAid. I do this one by hand because it's such a soft dough and it's so easy to come together that you don't really have to roll it out, because it is really soft, as you'll see here in a second. But it comes together really nice, and it's a very moist dough. And this is pretty much what you want it to look like. It's just like this. But you're looking at basically for it just to come together like this. You can see everything, it picked up all the flour, and it's just one big moist lump. And that's exactly what you're looking for. In about an hour, I'll take it out and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so now here's our dough, and you can see that it has risen and it's really nice. Now this here, we have to roll this dough out a little bit differently than the other one. And this one I like to roll out in between 2 parchment papers, because it is super soft, and you can see it just kind of falls apart when you touch it. And we just kind of want to roll it out about a 1/2 inch. Try to get it as close to a circle as you can. If you don't, not a big deal, we can go in and reshape it. And once you've rolled it out about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, now we can go through and just kind of make a little dam like you would normally see in a normal pizza. And if you find the dough is sticking on your hands, you can get a little bit of olive oil. All right, so that's perfect. So now at this point, we can add whatever toppings we want. All right, so now our topping is just like any other pizza. We're gonna start with some of the tomato sauce. And just like the last time, I'm gonna season with some salt, a little bit of oregano, and now I'm gonna put my toppings on. So I have some pepperoni, and I have some olives. And then for this one, I'm just gonna grate some mozzarella on top. All right, our pizzas came out of the oven. It smells so wonderful in here. I can't wait for you to actually try this and absorb the aromas that I'm smelling. I love to finish my pizza off with a little bit of drizzle of olive oil. I just think it adds a little extra shine and flavor. If you love this recipe, I have another great recipe over here. Go ahead and give it a try. Until next time, ciao, ci vediamo dopo.